We need support. We need people to maybe trade, like, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, or to body double, like, hey, let's clean our houses together while we're on the phone, right? Or, definitely someone to bounce ideas off of. Because I don't know about you, but my ADHD brain in its creativity sometimes comes up with the wildest ideas. And some of them are fantastic. And some of them are great starts, but have some pieces that are just not ideal that I don't see because I'm so excited and passionate and like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the impulsivity kicks in. And if we don't have someone to bounce off, then a lot of times we end up acting on some of those wild ideas. Hi, I'm Jen Barnes, and you're about to experience how to ditch the old ways of doing things, embrace your neurodivergence, learn tips and tricks to function optimally, and love yourself, neurodivergence and all. Welcome to the Self-Loved Woman podcast. Hey, it's Jen. Welcome. Today, we're going to be talking about the most important piece for ADHD success that most of us are missing. You might be wondering what it is, like what strategy it is, or what tool you don't have. And here's the thing, it's not actually a strategy or tool, it's connection and community. And you might be thinking, ugh, or you might be thinking, well, I've got that. I've got friends. And I want to unpack that a little bit because a lot of times we can have lots of people we know, but really no good supports. And with ADHD, we need that more than most. But I want to back up and say, we come by this honestly. It can be really hard for us ADHDers to connect and to authentically connect. Because so many of us, especially us adult women, have spent our lives masking or making up for our symptoms, maybe hiding them completely so that we wouldn't get shamed or criticized or be considered awkward or rude or whatever comes up in connection with others. So a lot of times we aren't used to being our authentic selves out in the world. And so, even if we do have relationships, we may not feel fully connected. Like people might not really see us unless you have some other ADHD friends where you're able to really let go and be you. It can feel really lonely. And I know I've certainly done that for a long time. I still have a lot of things that I do alone as I continue to find my ADHD community, my neurodivergent community, even more broadly. And I also have experienced what it is to not have that support and how hard it is for us to be able to do stuff. So we come by this honestly. We're often trying to avoid the criticism and shame that we would experience if we did show our authentic selves and trying to find that balance. Like, how ADHD do I be with this person? Which I don't know about you, but I find exhausting, like absolutely exhausting. And so, one of the things I want to talk about today is why this is so important and how we can start to go about creating community and connection that actually is meaningful and sustaining and supportive. Because otherwise, yeah, we can have people we hang out with, but if we're not really ever seen, we're going to feel like we don't belong. If all we're ever doing is hustling, trying to fit in, then we're going to feel even more lonely, even in a crowd of people that we call our friends. So I spent a lot of time not just in high school, but especially starting in high school, I spent a lot of time trying to fit in. And I didn't know I had ADHD, but I just knew I didn't fit. I knew I wasn't a fit. And I tried so hard to fit in, which basically meant masking my symptoms, trying to act like the other girls were, doing all those things, the stuff. And what I found is, first of all, I never really did fit in because it was like not who I was. So there wasn't anything to plug into because it was a false me to some degree, even though I wasn't trying to be false. It wasn't really authentic me. And so like those people didn't, like I said, there was nothing to plug into. They didn't actually know me and they could probably feel that I wasn't being authentic, which when we're not being authentic or when you've been around people who aren't being authentic, how does that feel? I tend to feel a lack of safety when I can feel someone's being inauthentic. What are they hiding? Right. And all we were quote unquote hiding is ADHD, which is like not harmful. Sometimes we say stuff that might hurt other people's feelings. It's not like we're hiding that we're a mass murderer or something. We're just hiding that our brain is different. But a lot of times, people's nervous systems, when someone isn't showing up authentically, they just don't feel safe. So they're not going to relax around us. They're not going to be themselves around us because we're not being ourselves. And then it's not going to feel fun for them to be around us. So all this effort we put into fitting in actually makes us not fit in. And the bigger piece of this is because we're not being our authentic self. Even if we can make ourselves fit in a little bit, we never feel like we belong because we have to put on this mask in order to be accepted and loved and supported. Belonging is something that all of us humans need. All of it. It's why we're here. It is a fundamental need of humans, really of mammals, is to belong. And I would go so far as to say that for women with ADHD, it's even more important. ADHD is hard enough without all of the supports in place. But when we don't have real connection, real community, it can feel almost impossible. And why is that? The thing is, with ADHD, there are just some things our brain can't do. Or maybe not can't. I don't like the can't. I don't want to go down that limiting belief path there, but there are some things that are very hard for the ADHD brain. And while we could get ourselves to do it, it would take so much energy that then we might not have time or energy for the other things we need to do and want to do. And so a lot of times with ADHD, we need so much more support than the average person because there's things that just drain us to the point of almost non-functioning that we need to find a way to delegate. And I'm not suggesting that we only make friends to have people to like delegate to or help us with stuff, right? Like I'm not suggesting you make friends to have a babysitter for your kids or someone to, I don't know, help you with your Facebook pixel. Sorry, it was on my mind. I figured it out, but every time I have to do a Facebook pixel, it's like, oh, I can't remember how to do this. So this time I wrote it down. So anyway, but we're not just making friends and connection in order to have that support. And we need it. We need support. We need people to maybe trade, like, hey, I'll do this for you if you do this for me, or to body double, like, hey, let's clean our houses together while we're on the phone. Definitely someone to bounce ideas off of. Because I don't know about you, but my ADHD brain and in its creativity sometimes comes up with the wildest ideas. And some of them are fantastic. And some of them are great starts, but have some pieces that are just not ideal that I don't see because I'm so excited and passionate and like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the impulsivity kicks in. And if we don't have someone to bounce off, then a lot of times we end up acting on some of those wild ideas, which isn't always like awful, but a lot of times we could share our wild ideas and be wild and free and amazing and easy versus wild and a little crazy, right? Like in a way that's just too much. And I hate the language too much. I shouldn't say too much, but like overboard on the tasks, or we're giving so much information maybe that people aren't hearing us, or we're missing big details, large swaths of details. So having people to bounce things off of can help us be able to figure out some of those pieces and also stop us in our impulsivity track. Like, oh, I feel like right now I want to do this great thing. Having someone to bounce off of is that. And I will say one of the most important reasons that we ADHDers need connection over and above what it does for our accountability, for our support, like even emotional support, right? Because RSD is real and we tend to feel things very deeply. So it's essential that we have friends who can support us, loved ones who can support us, and then we support them too. But another huge reason is to have fun and be loved. A lot of us with ADHD and really neurodivergent folks in general struggle with having fun, because so many of us have had to work so hard just to function that we almost feel like we don't deserve rest until we've gotten everything done. I'm here to say we are never going to get everything done. And we sure as hell aren't going to get it done perfectly. No one could get anything done perfectly. So sometimes we have to know what good enough is. And sometimes we have to know what tasks to delete or delegate or put off for another day so that we can fuel our soul too with connection, time with loved ones, and having fun. I'm someone who does a lot of things alone. I am single, and most of my friends, I'm in my 40s, most of my friends have kids. They're very busy with their kids. They're in that Uber stage of life where they're driving their kids everywhere, including family members with kids. So that it can be hard to get to see my friends as much as I am available because they have other responsibilities. Or if I try and schedule that with them, their schedule's so hectic, it takes so long that the tickets go away, right? So I end up doing a lot of things alone. But recently, I went to two concerts, one that I was going to go to alone, but it turned out my sister and her friend were already going to be there and it was open seating. So I was like, this is cool. And so I spent some time with them there. But also, I went to another concert with my sister and my niece. And while I can have a really good time by myself, I've learned to enjoy my own company over time. It was so much more fun with them. Just being and getting to enjoy this thing with a loved one and having someone. I've got no problem talking to strangers like, "Oh, that was a cool set," or "Oh yeah," or it was the Pink concert. So I got no problem like high-fiving strangers at how awesome she is or whatever. But to have my sister and niece be there made it so much more special. And I'm not saying that we can't go do things alone. I do like doing things alone sometimes. There's no extra complexity. If I want to go to the bathroom, I just go to the bathroom. I don't have to be like, does anyone need to go? And oh, should we wait? Or there's no discussion. I just go do it, which not that I mind doing that when I'm with my loved ones, because I do want to spend that time. And sometimes that can add complexity when our ADHD brains are overloaded all the time. So I just need things to be simple sometimes so I can relax and have fun. At the same time, the trade off then is not getting to share those experiences with loved ones. And being there with loved ones like 10x the fun for me. It was so cool. It was my niece's first concert too, so that was even more amazing because Pink is an amazing performer. So it's really important that we have these connections so that we can enjoy life together, we can share life together, we can share our heart and our love, but we can also be loved. As we show up more and more authentically in our ADHD, we want to show our loved ones more of who we are too and work with them on like, hey, this is how I am. It's not a personal affront against you or anything, and just be more ourselves. And some people aren't going to be able to do that. They're going to be like, no, I don't want to be around you as much. And that might be what happens. But some might even love us more or enjoy us more or feel more deeply connected. And that love and support is beautiful. And it might not be something you experience in family. I've got this group of clients who all are neurodivergent and they are the best of friends. And it's so beautiful to watch how they support each other because not all of them have family members who can offer love and support or who can respect their boundaries or who can see them for who they are and treat them respectfully and with love and support. And so we want to have this connection so we can enjoy our life. And we need it as someone with ADHD. Shame loves secrecy. And I don't know about you, but I think us ADHDers have been shamed more than most, unless we were really good maskers. I was actually a really good masker. Like if it was like an Olympic sport, I might have won a medal. Like for real. I was an excellent masker. And I was even good at like hiding that I was masking. Well, as I got older, not when I was in high school. I was really bad at that. But what happens a lot though is if we're not masking, as young people, we got shame. And the deal is shame loves secrecy. So we need connection and we need safe enough connection where there can be vulnerability because that is the antidote to shame, vulnerability and connection and sharing our experience. So in order to really recover from those hard times of being shamed or told we're not good enough or implied that we're not good enough, we need loved ones in our life supporting us. Also, if you're a woman entrepreneur with ADHD or who is ADHD, I want to say this is even more important for us for lots of reasons. One is we can struggle with understanding how things will work well in the world sometimes. So I'm going to tell a little story. When I first came on my online program journey back in April of 2020. I went it alone. I took a course from a woman, and her course was awesome. It was amazing. And I didn't really have any connection or team. I was just doing what I was doing. And I would post in the Facebook group, and people were like, yeah, yeah, looks good, looks good. And nothing was working. And I was like, that's really weird. Like everyone's saying all my stuff is great. Why is there any traction? It's really strange. And I just couldn't figure it out. And then I would feel defeated. And yeah, there was support in the Facebook group for that. And that was nice. But I really needed to talk to somebody. I needed to have someone to talk to. And it wasn't until about a year later when I attended I forgot what it was even called, like not an immersion, but incubator retreat for that same woman held for her program, that I met some other ladies on this same journey. And being able to bounce ideas off of them and have them just even check out things and have them go, oh, wait, you're missing this, or to help me see those blind spots that are so common for us with ADHD, because every human has our strength areas and our limitations. With ADHD, I feel like, I don't know, like that limitation bucket, at least the way the world is right now, is bigger for us. Another thing that I tend to do as a result of my ADHD is I tend to make things more complex than they have to be. And what that does is it makes it harder to implement, and then it never works. And there's some secondary gain there. If it's too complex, then I don't have to do it because I can't manage it, right? Or if it's too complex, oh, I made this mistake. That's why it didn't work. I missed this. And so then we always have reasons for why things don't work out or why a launch fails. And it's because, oh, it was complex. I missed this detail. Instead of, oh, what else is going on here? What am I hiding from in complexing? We have lots of ways of hiding. I spent another podcast episode talking about that. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, make sure you check it out. So having people to bounce things off of is essential for our ADHD brain, because we have so many creative ideas and sometimes we make them overly complex or difficult to implement, or we don't even know how to implement. And so if we have people that we can bounce ideas off of and share our plan, they can help us see like maybe some of the potential pitfalls or emphasize the great parts and help us really shine our strengths out so that maybe our limitations aren't getting in the way quite so much. It's also nice to have support. Like if you do a launch and it doesn't go well, that group of ladies was always nice to talk to after. They're like, okay, that was hard. That's valid. And now let's look at what happened so we can help you tweak. So it's essential that we have community as we're doing this entrepreneurial journey. Because a lot of times when we're in business for ourselves, there's a lot of extra tasks that we didn't have to do when we worked for someone. But the problem is when we work for someone else, usually a lot of those jobs, I mean, unless you find the right niche, certainly there's some jobs that are perfect for the ADHDer, right? Like being a journalist or an ER doctor or ER nurse. ADHDers do fantastic with that. And there's lots of careers that are in agencies or organizations that ADHDers do well. But a lot of them just don't fit us. There's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of paperwork, a lot of other moving pieces that just they play to our limitations instead of our strength. A lot of times in those environments, when we ask for support or guidance, we're not really getting what we need to function as well and really be able to do the things where we shine, which is why a lot of us ADHD women end up in the entrepreneurial space, right? We go into business for ourselves in some way, whatever that word means to you. And when we do that, while it's amazing and awesome to be our own boss in a lot of ways and to make our own schedule in a way that fits our energy levels and our ADHD, it also can be hard because there's more tasks. And if you try and do it alone, like I was doing at first, it's like next to impossible. But now I have a whole team of people. I've hired a coach and I'm in a program to help me be able to do the things I need to do in my business and bounce ideas off. One of the things I need someone to do is even just look at, like with a launch funnel, if you're into funnels, that when we're doing a launch, which I'm in the middle of right now for my ADHD women entrepreneurs kicking ass program, there's a funnel that people follow, right? You'll see a Facebook ad, you'll be invited to my secret podcast, and then after that, you're invited to my program if you would like more help and support. All those things need to be congruent. The language needs to be congruent. The colors and branding needs to be congruent. Like the message behind it, everything needs to be so congruent. That is really hard for my ADHD brain. And so if I have a coach to look at it and go, hey, this sales page doesn't match at all what you said. Then I can catch that. So community is so important. And having in our business, we need our business community. It's so essential to being able to really thrive. For my private practice business, I have recently hired on a billing service that's part of my electronic health record. And don't get me wrong, my undergrad degree was in math and computer science with a concentration in actuarial science. I worked as an actuarial analyst for 3.5 years. So I have a business mindset. I know how to do the billing, I know how to do the bookkeeping. But so much of my energy now is on service delivery and being with people. And that's really where my strengths lie. So that doing my billing and my bookkeeping and calling insurance companies for every claim that doesn't go through, it just wears on me. It drains me more than anything. I can do it, but it sucks the life out of me and makes it harder to do those things that I actually have a passion for and the areas of my true strengths. So when we can find assistance and hire out for things, it frees us up to be able to do the work we need to do. And you're probably like, but Jen, I can't afford it. And one of the things I'll tell you is like, so with this billing service that I opted for, there's a lot of claims that I just don't investigate because it's just like I just don't have the bandwidth to do it. And if I do that, then I won't do this stuff that's more important for my business and making money. So it's like, whatever, it's not worth calling the insurance company to get $20 when it takes me 3 hours to get through and find the right person and fix it a lot of the times. I make more than $20 an hour. Doing that doesn't make sense, but that adds up over time. And so it turns out that hiring this person is actually going to save me money because she's going to chase down all the claims that it's just not a strength for me. So it takes me longer. I don't always know the right questions to ask or get to the right person as fast as she knows how to. I don't have those network connections inside of insurance companies that billers often end up creating for themselves. And as I pay her to do that, or as I pay the organization for her to do that, I actually will be making more money. And so if we can start to think in that business mindset when we're entrepreneurs and we have ADHD and think about like, how much is our time worth? And what are the things that actually need to get done in my business so I can make money? And then delegating the rest. And yeah, maybe it requires some upfront costs but they can be relatively minimal if you can hire a virtual assistant. And there's ways to do that I talk about in my program. But there's ways that you can delegate or you can trade tasks with a friend. Let's say you have a friend that's really good at editing your podcast. Like they're really good at editing your podcast and it just drains the life out of you to do that. You could exchange like some time where you take her kids for a play date with your kids, or maybe you're really good at, I don't know, doing other people's laundry. We can't do our own, but we can do other people's. But whatever it is, sometimes we can trade tasks until we have funds to hire. But whatever it is we do, as entrepreneurs, we need community. So with ADHD, we really need community. We need it not just in our personal lives for fun and to feel loved, but in our businesses, we need it to be able to get stuff done because otherwise the task of owning a business and all the things that entails can feel overwhelming, like too many steps, right? Too many long-term projects. So we want to have people that we're working with to delegate to or to trade with, or someone to teach us how to find help so that we can spend our time and energy on the things that matter inside of our business. We need more one-to-one support, either in a small group setting or with a one-to-one coach to help us see those things that we're missing. Because I don't know about you, but my ADHD brain can kind of like, when I'm hyper-focusing, I only see what's in front of me and I'm not seeing the big picture. Sometimes I'm great at seeing the big picture, but there's big things we can miss and there's details we can miss. So having someone to look through our stuff can really help with that piece. And lastly, but not any less importantly, as business owners, we need to know other business owners. We need to know other people who are self-employed, who are entrepreneurs doing this work on their own, because sometimes it's hard. And it's especially great if we have other ADHD women doing it too. so we can commiserate, so we can support, so we can share, like, hey, this worked for me. What if you try this? So community and connection is essential for us ADHD business owners. And even if you're not a business owner and you're still doing your corporate job, it's important so that you feel valued and loved someplace in your life. And so someone can remind you to have fun. That was my mom. That was one of my mom's roles, I think, in this lifetime, was to help me remember to have fun. That's obviously not all she did, but it was one of the things she did in my life. And when she died, I noticed I stopped having as much fun because I didn't have her reminding me, like, have you done anything fun for yourself this week? Which is a valuable question, right? But now I have my sister and my nieces, and they're always doing fun stuff. And so when I'm plugged into them, it's like, oh yeah, I got to remember to do something fun and not wait until I deserve it, but do it because it's fun. The other thing I'll tell you about that, a lot of us, and I might even do an episode on this next week, but a lot of us struggle with making time for fun, making time for rest. And it's because, like I said earlier, we don't feel like we deserve it. But a lot of times we'll be more productive after we've had a period of rest or had some time to have fun. Certainly, I will tell you, there was no limit to the creative ideas that I got out of going to the Pink concert, besides the fact that it was one of the best times I've had in my entire life. And lovely to do that with my sister and my niece. When we're out and about, there's so much that we're like, oh yeah, cool, cool. Like it helps our creativity flow better. So if you're not already in community, you're not already having at least one person who really knows you fully, I want to emphasize how important that is. It's really essential to thriving in life and in your business. So maybe take some time this week and figure out, like, how could you test the waters with some people and let them see you? Someone doesn't have to be 100% safe all the time. That's not even realistic. But if someone's safe enough, maybe see what happens if they see a little bit more of you. And maybe it doesn't have to be the ADHD parts of you or the ADHD in you. It's not parts that have ADHD, it's your brain. But maybe it can just be something else, but letting yourself be seen and cared for, and eventually letting yourself ask for help. All right. Something to think about. Also, I'm so excited to announce my program is launching this week, Friday, September 1st. You will have an opportunity to be one of 10 women join my foundational program, ADHD Women Entrepreneurs Kicking Ass. And I've been really intentional about what this is going to look like. I'm super excited to share a community together. I'm excited to share small group coaching, and I'm excited to share about working through the barriers that our ADHD, or the limitations that our ADHD creates. Some of what we're going to work on is our mindset. We'll work on regulating our nervous systems. And a piece of the program involves healing from some of that trauma of just having ADHD. So included in the program is access to the Trauma Center Trauma Sensitive Yoga membership that I have. Also, we'll work through, how do we get ourselves to focus? Some of that is prioritizing. Some of it is building our ability to pay attention and focus. We'll learn how to set boundaries like a boss, both with other people and with yourself. And we'll work on how to get shit done. I've got a lot of strategies for that one, but some of that involves getting to know your tendencies and how you show up in the world so that you can cater a system that works for you, not in a way that's like, oh, I've got this system and I'm going to be rigid about it, but in a way where you still get to enjoy life, so that you're creating this ADHD life in a way that finally works for you, instead of just having scaffolding that holds you up in the world. So if this sounds good to you, I'm super excited to be able to open the doors this Friday, September 1st. I'm doing an introductory offer. So eventually this will be more, but for now it's only $297 for 12 weeks. We'll meet every other week for a coaching call. And then every other week, we'll have 2 one-hour training calls that will be over the lunch hour to make it easy. Everything will be recorded. You'll have lifetime access. And I'm just pumped to do this. So if you're interested, I'd love it if you'd sign up. You can find more details in the show notes. Take care.